When you no longer need something like your old phone, you often throw it away. You can't do the same thing with a resort. It's possible to demolish the structure when it's no longer needed. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes they are left abandoned or empty, slowly fading from memory over time. Once the pinnacle of wealth and indulgence, these luxury resorts now stand eerily silent. These 15 abandoned luxury resorts reveal how even the most lavish escapes can fall to time, disaster, or neglect. Before we move, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. All right, with that said, let's begin with number 15, Haludovo Palace Hotel. The Haludovo Palace Hotel is located in Croatia on the northern Adriatic Sea, and this resort stands as one of Europe's most striking abandoned luxury resorts. Opened in 1972, the hotel was built during the socialist era of Yugoslavia and represented an ambitious attempt to create a world-class destination that would draw Western tourists to the Adriatic coast. A sprawling complex with over 500 rooms, indoor and outdoor pools, restaurants, tennis courts, and landscaped grounds overlooked the sea. Its most famous backer was Bob Guccione, publisher of Penthouse magazine, who reportedly spent millions transforming it into a casino and entertainment hub. The centerpiece, the Penthouse Adriatic Club Casino, attracted visitors from across Europe and the Middle East. At its peak in the 1970s, it hosted celebrities, diplomats, and wealthy tourists. The casino closed within a year due to mismanagement and regulatory challenges. The hotel operated until 1991, but closed during the Croatian War of Independence. Today, as of 2025, ownership disputes keep it abandoned, a silent monument to faded glamour. Number 14, Hotel del Salto. Hotel del Salto is a striking example of a luxury resort turned ruin. It was opened in 1928 in a French-influenced style and catered to wealthy travelers drawn to the 132-meter Tequendama Falls. At the time, the falls were a celebrated natural wonder, and the hotel's location offered breathtaking views of the cascade and canyon. In its prime, it welcomed Bogotá's elite and international visitors who traveled winding mountain roads to reach it. By the mid-20th century, industrial pollution from upstream factories contaminated the Bogotá River, making the falls far less appealing. Political instability and declining infrastructure further reduced tourism, and by the early 1990s, the hotel closed permanently. For years, its decaying balconies and arched windows overlooked the waterfall, drawing explorers and photographers. Restored sections now serve as the Tequendama Falls Museum of Biodiversity and Culture, but much of the original grandeur remains unrestored, preserving its haunting presence against Colombia's natural beauty. Number 13, Coco Palms Resort. It's located on the eastern side of Kauai in the state of Hawaii. It is one of the most famous abandoned resorts in the United States. It originally opened in 1953 and was built on land that had been significant to Hawaiian royalty for centuries. The resort gained worldwide recognition in the 1950s and 60s as Hawaii's tourism industry flourished and became especially renowned after serving as the filming location for Elvis Presley's 1961 movie Blue Hawaii. During its prime, it hosted Hollywood celebrities, dignitaries, and wealthy vacationers seeking a tropical escape. The resort featured extensive coconut groves, lagoons, and distinctive Hawaiian architecture, blending traditional motifs with mid-century design. Coco Palms was widely regarded as one of Kauai's premier resorts and contributed greatly to the island's reputation. In 1992, Hurricane Iniki, one of the most destructive hurricanes to strike Hawaii, devastated Kauai. Years of tropical weather, overgrowth, failed redevelopment efforts, and cultural opposition have left it abandoned to this day. Number 12, Sanji UFO Houses. The Sanji UFO Houses in Taiwan were an ambitious resort project that became one of Asia's most famous developments. Construction began in 1978 with plans for a futuristic beachfront complex of pod-shaped buildings resembling flying saucers. It was intended to attract affluent vacationers and foreign military personnel stationed in Taiwan. Overlooking the Taiwan Strait, the colorful pods, painted in bright blue, green, and red, were linked by elevated walkways, forming a self-contained luxury community. Almost from the start, the project faced financial and logistical troubles. Escalating construction costs, weak sales, and the late 1970s global oil crisis undermined its future. Work stopped in 1980, leaving dozens of unfinished pods scattered across the site. For decades, their unusual design drew photographers and enthusiasts of retro-futuristic architecture. Despite periodic proposals for revival, they were never completed or opened. In 2010, the remaining structures were demolished for new development. Though gone, their striking images endure as a symbol of unrealized ambition in Taiwan's tourism history. Number 11. Bokor Palace Hotel. The Bokor Palace Hotel, perched on top of Bokor Mountain in southern Cambodia, is one of Southeast Asia's most famous and beautiful resorts. It was built by French colonialists in the 1920s and was part of a larger hill station intended to provide relief from the tropical heat. At over 1,000 meters above sea level, it offered spectacular views of the Gulf of Thailand. The hotel, along with a church and post office, formed a self-contained retreat for colonial elites seeking cooler air and European-style comforts far from Phnom Penh. Thousands of Cambodian laborers were conscripted to build the resort, and many died during construction. The completed hotel opened in 1925 and quickly became a centerpiece of French colonial society in Indochina, featuring grand ballrooms, a casino, and Art Deco luxury. It's remote, location-made, sustaining it difficult. Multiple closures followed during wars and political upheaval. Today, partial restorations exist, but much of its original elegance and haunting atmosphere remain. Number 10. Monte Resort. The resort in Arkansas is a rare case of an abandoned luxury project far from typical coastal or tropical settings. Conceived by businessman William Hope Coin Harvey in the early 1900s, it was envisioned as a grand resort and health retreat on the clear waters of Beaver Creek. Harvey, a political figure and advocate of free silver economic policies, aimed to blend European luxury with natural beauty, offering mineral baths, fine dining, and outdoor recreation in the Ozarks. The property featured a massive log hotel, once one of the largest of its kind, an amphitheater, a concrete tower, and landscaped grounds. Despite brief popularity, its remote location and Harvey's limited finances hindered long-term success. Then, following World War I, interest declined, and Harvey's later schemes, including a proposed time capsule pyramid, failed to secure investment. In the 1960s, the creation of Beaver Lake submerged much of Monte Nay. Today, portions of the ruins occasionally reappear, drawing divers and history enthusiasts. Number 9. Vin Pearl Luxury Nha Trang. The Vin Pearl Resort Complex on Hon Tre Island, off Nha Trang, Vietnam, is now a thriving tourist hub, but parts of its earliest luxury phase remain abandoned. In the early 2000s, it helped pioneer Vietnam's modern high-end resort market with beachfront villas, a five-star hotel, and Southeast Asia's longest overwater cable car. The resort became known for pairing seclusion with large-scale attractions like an amusement park and golf course. However, some initial villas were built in less suitable locations, later affected by coastal erosion and changing development plans. As Vin Pearl expanded, focus shifted toward larger hotels and integrated facilities, leaving these early villas unused. Mediterranean-inspired designs with tiled roofs and broad verandas now show heavy decay from salt air and tropical weather. Visible from parts of the island, they create a rare contrast between active luxury and visible neglect. Their quiet presence reflects how quickly ambitious projects can be overshadowed within a rapidly evolving tourism industry. Number 8. Grand Hotel Kupari. This Grand Hotel in Croatia is one of the Adriatic's most haunting examples of abandoned luxury. Overlooking a crescent-shaped bay with clear waters and pine-covered hills, its windows stand empty, staircases end abruptly, and walls once filled with lively voices are now covered in graffiti and vines. Built in 1920 during the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, it catered to European elites with fine dining, private beach access, and boat excursions. After World War II, it became part of a military resort complex for Yugoslav army officers and officials. The early 1990s dissolution of Yugoslavia brought conflict that left the hotel gutted by shelling and looting. While Dubrovnik rebounded as a tourist destination, Kupari remained abandoned for decades, drawing urban explorers. Redevelopment plans announced in 2016 have stalled amid bureaucracy and financial hurdles. Today, it stands as a layered monument to glamour, war, and uncertainty, its future caught between restoration and the preservation of its war-scarred history. Number 7. Banyan Tree, Allerene. The Banyan Tree, Allerene Resort in Bahrain was among the most exclusive luxury retreats in the Persian Gulf. Located near the Allerene Wildlife Park and Reserve, it opened in 2007 as part of Bahrain's push to position itself as a high-end tourism hub. Managed by the Banyan Tree chain, known for luxury and spa excellence, it featured private villas with pools, spa facilities, and design blending modern minimalism with traditional Middle Eastern elements. Unusually for the region, it was inland, surrounded by desert landscapes next to the wildlife reserve, offering privacy and nature views alongside five-star amenities. Villas were generously spaced for exclusivity, and the spa ranked among the Middle East's most extensive. The 2008 financial crisis impacted Gulf tourism, while Bahrain's smaller markets struggled to compete. Political unrest during the 2011 Arab Spring further reduced visitors. By the mid-2000s teens, ownership changed, some facilities closed, and portions were abandoned. Well, that is a big loss. Number 6. Penn Hills Resort. Penn Hills Resort is located in Pennsylvania's Pocono Mountains, and it was once promoted as one of America's leading honeymoon destinations. This resort was founded in 1944 as a small ski lodge and later evolved into a couples-only retreat emblematic of mid-20th century romantic getaways. By the 1960s and 70s, it was famous for its extravagant features: heart-shaped bathtubs, round beds with mirrored ceilings, and champagne glass whirlpool tubs, hallmarks of the Pocono's honeymoon craze. The resort also offered golf, tennis, swimming, ice skating, and skiing, blending rustic scenery with lavish decor. Its success mirrored the region's boom, but by the late 1980s, affordable air travel lured couples to warmer destinations, and tastes shifted toward modern accommodations. Financial strain grew, and after the death of its longtime owner, it closed in 2009. Left abandoned, the property fell victim to fires, vandalism, and decay. Authorities later demolished many unsafe structures, though remnants remain. Number 5. Grossingers Catskill Resort Hotel. Grossingers in Liberty was one of the most iconic luxury resorts in the Catskills and a central part of the Borscht Belt, a group of resorts popular with Jewish vacationers from New York City during much of the 20th century. Founded in 1919 by Jenny Grossinger, the resort grew from a modest farmhouse into a vast complex with over 35 buildings spread across 200 acres. In its peak during the 1950s and 60s, it offered fine dining, golf courses, ski slopes, and top entertainment, hosting stars like Milton Berle and Eddie Fisher. It pioneered the all-inclusive vacation model that later became common in the resort industry. Decline began as affordable air travel lured vacationers to Florida, the Caribbean, and Europe. Changing demographics deepened the downturn, and it closed in 1986. Since then, buildings have decayed, vegetation has taken over, and redevelopment efforts have failed, leaving it as a lasting symbol of mid-century leisure's decline. Number 4. Verroia Cypress. Verroia, in the city of Famagusta on Cyprus's eastern coast, was once the island's foremost tourist destination. Nicknamed the French Riviera of Cyprus, it flourished in the 1960s and early 70s, drawing stars such as Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, and Brigitte Bardot. Its beaches were lined with luxury hotels, high-end boutiques, and fine restaurants, making it a symbol of wealth and cosmopolitan style. In 1974, a Greek-backed coup seeking union with Greece led to Turkey's invasion of Cyprus. As Turkish forces advanced, residents fled, leaving behind homes, hotels, and shops. The district was sealed under military control for decades, streets, possessions, and buildings frozen in time. Over the years, vegetation overtook balconies, and sea turtles returned to quiet shores. Political stalemate between Greek and Turkish Cypriots delayed reopening until 2020, when parts were controversially opened. Number 3. Chocolaya Ski Resort. Once the only ski resort in Bolivia, Chocolaya held the distinction of being the highest ski resort on Earth and home to the world's highest restaurant. Opened in the late 1930s, it quickly became a favorite of La Paz's middle and upper classes, who skied and sledded on the glacier for most of the year. At 17,519 feet above sea level, it towered above even Mount Everest's North Base Camp. In the 1990s, scientists warned the glacier would vanish by 2015, but it disappeared by 2009. With no snow, skiers stopped coming, and the resort closed. Today, only Adolfo and Samuel Mendoza, longtime caretakers, remain, managing the refugio where hot meals are still served. While occasional snow allows rare skiing, most visitors now come for the sweeping views of Huayna Potosi, La Paz, and Delalto, and to see this hauntingly abandoned mountaintop relic. Number 2. Royal Bellum Rainforest Resort. The Royal Bellum Rainforest Resort, on Banyan Island in northern Perak, Malaysia, was envisioned as a gateway to one of the world's oldest rainforests. Opened in the early 2000s, it offered high-end lodging with views of Lake Temengor and access to guided eco-tours into the 130-million-year-old forest. Its design emphasized environmental integration, using natural materials and elevated walkways to reduce impact while providing luxury amenities. Activities included jungle trekking and wildlife spotting, with species such as Malayan, tigers, Asian elephants, and hornbills. Despite its unique setting, occupancy rates struggled due to its remote location, several hours from major cities like Penang and Kuala Lumpur. Competition from more accessible coastal and inland resorts added to its decline. By the mid-2000s teens, parts of the resort closed and maintenance waned. Some areas now serve budget travelers and research teams, while much of the original upscale infrastructure sits unused. All right, guys, now let's end this with number 1, Praia do Forte Hotel. Praia do Forte, located on Brazil's northeastern coast, was once home to a luxury resort that eventually fell into abandonment despite its prime location. Built in the 1970s, it was part of a wave of upscale tourism developments in Bahia, aiming to capitalize on the region's pristine beaches, Afro-Brazilian heritage, and year-round tropical climate. Initially, it attracted both domestic and foreign tourists, particularly from Europe and the United States, seeking Brazil's relatively affordable luxury. Nearby, natural reserves, historic castle ruins, and a sea turtle conservation project added to its appeal. However, economic instability, including inflation and currency fluctuations in the 1980s and 90s, reduced international arrivals. Stricter environmental regulations, designed to protect sensitive ecosystems, and competition from newer resorts further hurt occupancy. By the early 2000s, the hotel closed, leaving behind skeletal structures, drained pools, and crumbling staircases overlooking the coast. Occasional talks of redevelopment have surfaced, but the site remains derelict, a reminder of the delicate balance between tourism growth and environmental preservation. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you very soon.